Parashat Pinchas. We've been here for a long time, being in Israel, experienced some war, experienced some amazing people around me over there. It was quite of an experience. On its surface, Parashat Pinchas is not such a special parasha. It's not such a great portion. Nothing exciting happened there. Or, let's say, substantially different than any other parasha. But regardless of that, that parasha is known in its uniqueness, and, believe it or not, has some merits of, I'll almost call it medicinal, right? Merits of healing and so on and so forth, and also protection. There was even a whole entire volume in the Zohar written just on this Parashat Pinchas. Yes. And that volume describes in great detail the structure of the human body with all its limbs and organs and their jobs and so on and so forth, and the reasons for many different diseases that they have. In other words, the Zohar also sees the correlation between a spiritual imbalance to a physical imbalance, because it views the whole body as one unit, one entity. Some of the things we actually start to describe, we start to find now in recent years about medicine and so on and so forth. According to the Zohar, thank you. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam she'achol niyeh b'doro. Amen. According to the Zohar, the Ramach Evarav, the 248 limbs. This is the count. Don't tell me the medicine today says there are more or different, because it depends how you count it. Really correspond to the 248 parts of the neshama, of the spirit, of the soul of the person, and every limb is destined to fulfill a certain goal of creating a full circle in our life, so-called. In other words, not only to be a vessel that receives all the time inside of it, but also a vessel that influences and gives out, gives to others, and so on and so forth for himself. And that's something very important that maybe we'll touch towards the end of the parasha. And that is to give to others. That's called the level of chesed, of kindness. And the chesed, that act of kindness, is the person is able to influence his environment, his things around him. That gives him, and in return, that act of kindness gives him a certain protection for many called diseases or imbalances in the body. I mean, I'll give you just an example. If a person, for example, gives and it creates a sense of meaning in his life by giving and so on and so forth, there is much less chance for issues of, like, let's say, anxiety or depression and so on and so forth. So that's the way it works. So from the moment, it's very important to understand that from the moment that we came out to this world, until we came out to this world, we were all protected in a certain organ that our mothers had, and that is what?
Womb.
The womb. How is the womb called?
Rechem.
Rechem. Right? Rachamim, Rechem, right? And how do you spell Rechem?
Resh 248.
What? Resh, Chaf, Chet, and Mem. How much is that?
248.
248. Ramach, Reches, right? Now, just have this in mind. And in other words, once we came out of our mother's womb, our destiny is in our hands. You determine your fate. Where's your brother, by the way? You determine your fate. You determine what's going to be with you. In other words, don't come and cry to me and poor me or this one. It's you. You determine what's going to be with your life. Now we know that Pinchas became a Kohen. So we also know that the Kohen Gadol. By the way, guys, don't forget to press that that like button over there. And if you like what we have to say, please share it because it helps us spread the word out. We know that the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, represents the power of chesed, the power of kindness. And Pinchas, as a result of his action, what he did, became a Kohen. He became a Kohen. So in a way, when Pinchas kills Zimri, which was the head of the tribe of Shimon, right? And Shimon is known with his being very hot-blooded, right? Check it and see. He knows that most likely he's not going to stay alive. They're probably going to get so angry at him, they're going to kill him. But yet he still goes and he does it because his real purpose or his real reason to do so is really to save Am Yisrael from dying. In Judaism, we know that we have very specific cases that we should not be doing. For example, that you better off die than do that. That's lehavdil, like if the samurai had the code of the Bushido, we have the code of halacha, right? It's lehavdil, as they say, to separate, to make the difference. A samurai would give his life not to disgrace his master. We are also warriors with our code of conduct. And that's called halacha. And we have certain things that you would rather give your life over than to actually violate, which are avodah zarah, idol worshipping, gilui arayot, which is promiscuous relationship, that you're not allowed to do, sexual relationships, certain ones that you're not allowed to do, and shfichut damim, bloodshedding. You're not allowed to spill blood. You can't just go ahead and go kill people because you feel like it. There's no such thing. So these are the things, and that's something that is very, very important to know. For that we said Yareg v'lo avo, because we understand that it's better to die than to cause your soul, to cause your neshama such a damage that it's going to be such a great damage that it's basically going to corrupt and destroy your neshama. It corrupts and destroys your neshama, regardless of what the world outside tells you. And the words outside, and by the way, I'm going to tell you something. We experiencing today, as a society, exactly those three things. Well, first of all, they started with avodah zarah. What's the form of avodah zarah? They took God of the equation. They simply took God of the equation. All those radical woke people and so on and so forth took God of the equation. In other words, they took it out. That's a form of avodah zarah. Later on, they tell you, what did they tell you? Do whatever you want with whoever you want. Gilui arayot. That's Gilui arayot. All these things leaves us with one thing, which is today, it's bloodshed. You think the anti-Semitism in the world and mainly in the United States is just going to be in the form of a barking dog? You guys are wrong. And I'm telling you that. You guys are wrong. It's not just going to be a barking dog. It's going to pass on. It's going to be over. And you're going to go back to your life the way it was. I'm going to tell you something. Wake up and smell the hummus, guys. You better stop planning to move. There's no place for you here. If it's not going to stop immediately, harshly by the authorities, which I don't see anybody doing anything about it, you're going to have a guy who wrote on his flag is going to be mayor of New York. I hope not. The celebrating the killing of Jews. You think your life is going to go back to what it was? Well, I'm going to tell you that. Very simple. You're a fool if you do. You're a fool. Mainly because you're not willing to do anything about it also. It's your fault as well. You're not willing to do anything. So you pay the price. So all these things, taking God out of the equation, allowing any form of a sexual interaction with whoever you want, whenever you want, whichever way you want, would lead at the end to bloodshed. That's the way it works. We know that we better die, give our life over, than cause such a great damage to the neshama. It's an irreversible damage once you're involved with those things. So the Mefarshim, our commentators, explain that Pinchas acted from a place that is for us very hard to understand. You're going to tell me, how is it possible that he did so? The Mefarshim says that Pinchas acted, it came from a place of Ve'afta l'reacha kamocha, of great love. It sounds like a paradox, but that's where he came from a place of great love. Because with his action, he was willing to commit he went on a suicide mission. He went on a suicide mission, and because he was able to put himself in the place of Zimri, to identify and to feel as if he was Zimri himself, and to understand, he felt what Zimri is causing to himself by acting like this. And that's why we said to give musar to your friend, that you see that your friend is not acting right, and you are keeping yourself quiet from telling that, you are not fulfilling ve'afta l'reacha kamocha. You hate supposedly your friend. You could tell him, listen, mister, you're not doing something right. I don't say yell at him. Just tell him, mister, you're not doing something right. Now it could be engaging in an activity he should not be engaging, and it could go to the way he talks, or the way he dresses, or even the way he looks. Mister, you gained, not you, you lost a lot of weight, but you gained a lot of weight. Listen, I care about you. It's not healthy. I'll help you to lose weight. Let me make you a plan. You know what? I'll come with you every morning and knock on your door. Let's go jogging. It's not good. You're not gonna make it. You're gonna be 40 years old. You're gonna die from a heart attack. So all the money you're gonna live with you and your beautiful wife, you're gonna live to somebody else. Come on, let me help you out. That's what a brother does to a brother. We are brothers. But do we act like brothers, or we act like enemies? By you are not telling that, you're not coming from a place of love. You're coming from a place of complete darkness, and we'll talk about this as well. So he felt what Zimri is doing to himself. He was able to identify, and that's why the Zohar talks here so much on the act of tremendous mesirut nefesh. He was willing to hand over his soul from the side of Pinchas on Kiddush Hashem, and because of that, because it was an act of chesed, and a Kohen is associated with the chesed, his act of kindness was so high that rewarded him with an act, with the title of a Kohen, that the Kohen, all he does is chesed. You need to understand that. We are not talking about religious fanaticism. There's no room in Judaism for religious fanaticism. In Judaism, there's room only for love to one another, and responsibility and caring for one another. And we need to remember that. The Zohar explains that Pinchas did not act from a place of anger. He was not angry or jealousy to God. How could you do so? Shabbos! He didn't do that. But he came from a place of love. And the hint for that, and there is a hint for that, is in the spear that he took, the murder weapon, so called. And it says, Vayikach Romach beyado. Ma ze Romach? A spear, a javelin. It's a short spear that they have, not the long one, right? It's a short spear that they used to have it all the time. By the way, people are mistaken, because a lot of Hollywood and so on and so forth think everybody carried a sword and so on. Even samurais, right? Their preferred weapon was not the sword. Their preferred weapon was the spear.
Wow.
But people don't know that because you watch too many Karate Kids. But that's what it is. Romach, 1 second. Romach, you said? How do you spell Romach?
Resh Mem Het.
Resh Mem Het. Resh Mem Het, like the Rechem, like the Rachamim, Kerachem, right? So it's the same thing. It was, the Zohar explains that when you take the word Romach and you mix it up, you get Rachem. Lo rak Rechem, which is a womb, Rachem, mercy. He had mercy. Zimri, how could you do that? How could you do that? So it was an act of great love. However, right? The same, as I said to you before, the same of rechem, which is a womb. That's where the baby grows, and as long as he's inside the rechem, right, gives him the power of love, the power of love, gives him warmth, gives it protection. You want to be protected? By the way, guys, you want to be protected from this bad time that's going out there? Show an act of kindness. Do more kindness. Do more chesed. Do more acts of rachamim. Feel bad for people. Don't say, machpatli, I don't care. When the missiles were flying in Israel, how much did you feel it here, if at all? You didn't feel it. You didn't care. Oh wow! Look at this! Look at this! I got a video of this. You don't understand. I was there in a bomb shelter with neighbors in my mother's building. Some of them were newer neighbors, and some of them were very secular. Some of them were very religious. Some of them were somewhat religious. And I can tell you one thing. I felt one thing to these people. I felt love to these people. I simply fell in love with all my neighbors, with the men and the women and the children and everybody. I just fell in love with these people. I said, how beautiful it is. Look, we all in this together. This is like our Tevat Noach. And somebody went in, and one of the neighbors, the lady came in and she cleaned the bomb shelter beforehand without even asking. People came in, they brought bottles of water, like those big bottles of water for everybody to have water. That's a beautiful people there. In this trip in Israel, so beautiful people. I fell in love again with my nation, with my people, and the caring that they have. And and you feel the missiles, and the whole building is shaking. I'm sitting down in the bomb shelter underground, and the whole building is shaking like a lulav in Hoshana Rabbah. And I can tell you this. I told my wife, Sanu, you don't want to move here again, huh? You don't want to even come here. She says, no, what, are you kidding me? I want to move here. I said, the bombs, missiles. She says, it's our home. Don't fool yourself. And I'm going to show you at the end what am I talking about. When you don't feel the pain, where you could not identify with the pain of your people in Israel, how could you sleep here at night? How could you sleep at night? How can you not be worried about your own people? I salute the Druze. They went across the border. They didn't care. Their brothers are being slaughtered by El Julani over there in Syria. They went over. We're gonna go. We're gonna help our people. Why don't you learn from them about caring about your people? Do you care about your people? You don't care about your people. For crying out loud, you so much don't care about your people that you don't even allow your people to help you if you need help. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You know what this kind of life is? This kind of life is life of selfishness. It's being selfish. And life of selfishness is the cause of all of our diseases, all our problems, all our misery, all our suffering comes because we are selfish. Selfish. We're selfish. We don't care about anything. Our goal is to live our life and not to be buried. Let me enjoy my life. I don't care what they do in Israel. Machpatli what they do in Israel. Let me hear. I need to catch a train. I need to go here. Let me go to a restaurant. I don't have time. Instead of going to a cruise, why don't you pack your stuff and go visit your brothers in Israel? Go help. Do something. I don't know. Spend some money in Israel. I went to Tzfat. I was depressed. The town was closed. Nothing was there. It was almost dead. Not almost. Actually, it was dead. So I just bought things I don't need. Not because what am I going to do with that stuff? My mother asked me to buy a little bit of cheese for her. I bought her a whole entire thing. I bought like 600 shekels worth of cheese for her from this thing. Why? To help the guy there that he's opening. I mean, he's working. And Malasot, he says, there's nothing. My mother said to me, I have cheese now for 3 years. I mean, it's good cheese, sheep cheese, but I cannot eat it. But just so I could spend money. You know, they charge you a VIT tax, right? So in the airport, you can go in and get the tax back. I said to my wife, are you gonna do it? We bought some stuff. She says, absolutely not. I said, okay, why? He said, let them have it. Let the government have it. I don't need this money. How much money is going to be? A few $100s. Let the government have it. That's my donation to the state of Israel. What do you guys do here? You don't care. That's what I'm talking about. Our purpose in life is not to live life like selfishness. Our purpose in life is to live life through Mesirut Nefesh for an ideal. And what's the ideal? Right? The ideal is Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Lekadesh Shem Shamayim Ba'olim, to sanctify God's name in this world. Not to live life just to pass them around. One day comes in, one day comes out. You don't even know what day is it. Just to waste another day. And that's why I told you before, Jonathan. I said to you before, you don't waste your time sleeping. It's your summer. I know you go to school. Akol tov ve'yafeh. It's wonderful. But it's summer. On the contrary, now that you have free time, it's time for you to actually use the time, not to do what the school wants you to do what you want it to do. And sleeping is not one of it. To waste your time sleeping, it's purposeless in life. So that's what we need to do. Because if we're not going to do so, our limbs are going to collapse. We're going to have a system collapse one after the other. Why? Because we don't nourish the spirit, and the result of that, it would affect our body. The strongest kind of medicine is to really bring ourselves back the same power that we had in the womb, right? The life, and this is by creating an energy of love, of giving, of tremendous altruism through self-dedication for a greater cause. Parashat Pinchas is always read in Chodesh Tammuz. We always read it in Chodesh Tammuz, which of course is the sign of water that represents chesed. Water represents chesed, represents love, and also a lot of emotion. And when the emotion is negative, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Leave me alone. I'll do whatever I want. Right? That's when it's negative. That is the first cause for diseases. What causes you to be sick is being negative. When you are negative, when you're not trying to find solution, you better check yourself to get yourself some health insurance because you're going to be sick. That's going to affect you. So, and as a result of that, of course, if you get so bad, you die. You die. Death came to this world. Death came to this world through lack of act of chesed, and that was when Chava gave Adam the apple. She gave him the apple, and he threw her under the bus. It was a mutual act of lack of chesed. That's why death came to this world. The only way to cure those diseases and to deal with death is by a positive feeling that is very strong with its frequency, and that is the shoresh of ripui. This is the root of healing that you can find in Parashat Pinchas. That's the Romach, that's the Ramach, Evarim and Rechem and so on and so forth. Also, Parashat HaShavua introduces us to a bunch of nice ladies. Right? The daughters of Tzlofchad. Now I'm going to, Bezrat Hashem, tie it up to you for the duration of this time. I gotta hurry up. Anyway, to the daughter of Tzlofchad, of course, we're talking about Tzlofchad. Is a person that died in the desert, and he doesn't have any sons. And those sons that he didn't have, those sons, if he had any, would inherit him, right? And at that time, there was no indication of what to do for the daughter's inheritance. And the daughters of Tzlofchad are basically knocking on the table and says, Habibi, we want our share too. We want our share. What do you mean we don't get our share? Well, what has to do with us? What does it have to do with our times here? What does it have to do with you and what's going on with your brothers in Israel? Well, I'm going to tell you the following. Now pay very close attention to me. It has to do a lot. and listen carefully. We need to understand we are not talking here about being greedy. It's not about money. It's not being greedy. It's not about real estate. It's not about buying a bridge over in Brooklyn. It's not about any of these things. It's talking about Eretz Israel. And Eretz Israel has a certain spiritual level, high level to it, that you cannot find something else. And mainly because in Eretz Israel you could do mitzvot that you cannot do anywhere else. All the mitzvot, shetliot bakarka, trumot, masrot, and so on and so forth, you can only do in Israel. Because of that, Eretz Israel is elevated in terms of spiritual realm than everybody else, than any other place in the world, as the Mishnah said. The daughters of Tzlofchad, by the way, they had a tremendous appreciation in Chazal for those girls, for those ladies, really wanted to reach that spiritual level, right? And that's why they received a tremendous recognition and appreciation, because they strive that high level of that they wanted to reach. And when we're talking about the daughter's inheritance, right? Today, because a daughter could inherit the father, under certain circumstances, it's because they went to Moshe, Moshe went to God, and God said to him, yeah, you're right, you give it to them. So it's because of them, they initiated it. So we need to understand. However, on the other hand, we had other people. We had the people of...
That's not Joseph?
No. We had the people of the tribe of Gad and Reuven and the half of the tribe of Menashe. They would rather live in peace and quiet in the great meadows of outside of the boundaries of Israel, and for that they got a lot of criticism. The daughters of Tzlofchad were willing to go to the unknown, right? To the impossible, to whatever cannot be reached. Avra, take some chulad. To whatever cannot be reached, and they were willing to engage in contact. I mean, it's like they were not sitting. I mean, I'm going to tell you, every day I read about what happened on October 7th, and there were some lady soldiers there that they were so brave. They initiated contact, and they really saved a lot of people by initiating contact. I think that those girls or those ladies who are, whichever way they choose to live their lives, right, acted in such heroism, and I think that maybe that had something to do with the daughters of Tzlofchad. They were willing to initiate contact, not running away and hiding under the blanket. They were initiating contact, and in a way, because of that, they were able to reach a certain spiritual reality that is very high. That was very high. They were not willing to give up on their spirituality. They were not be willing to give up the chance to elevate their spirit up. But say, okay, they don't give it to God, they don't give it to us. So what can I do? No, it says, no, we want the spirit. It's not a piece of land. Israel is not a piece of land. And we as Jews should not give up our land. I don't care if you wrote 50,000 books of Torah. If you promote giving back the land of Israel, I don't know, maybe you missed something. I don't care. Here I said it. No, you don't like it, don't like it. By the way, where's Zalman today? So, let me explain to you something. Look at those girls of Tzlofchad. Now let's compare it to two types of workers. Let's say you have a business and you have two types of workers, right? You have the type of worker which are very, very talented, but they're very finicky. They don't feel like working. And yet they have those who are mediocre, right? But they are very gung-ho about going to work and accomplishing and working and so on and so forth. Everybody's trying to get the most talented one and so on and so forth. But that's why they fail. Because if you look at it, the key to success is the second type is going to give you better results. And because it gives better results, you should also reward them appropriately to that. It's not just about the talent, it's about the passion. Right? A person regardless of how talented he is, if he would not see his job as the mission of his life, he is not going to be able to bring about all his talents to daylight. In other words, again, I'm coming up to the whole entire thing, of course, with the Japanese concept of ikigai, but that's exactly what it is. You need to be passionate about what you do to bring your talents out. As much as you are talented, a talent without an ambition is like a zero without a number in front of it. You just think about that. So, and that's maybe one of the most important things that you need to check when you're about to do business, or you're about to do some kind of partnership, or you're about to hire someone, right? That you need to realize that that's something that will come to you through many years of experience. That a worker or person that is motivated, that works with motivation, is worth 10 times than a person who's talented and is not motivated, because it brings energy to the whole entire business and is able to it's contagious. Everybody's going to be like this. And a person that does not have, a person that is lacking even 10% of motivation is also contagious, but in the wrong way. It's going to be an infectious disease, and then before you know, nobody's working in your company. You need to understand that. And in yeshivot, it's the same thing. It's not how well you learn. It's not how, in which yeshiva you went to. It's how much do you want to, how much you are motivated to learn. I don't need to motivate you. You need to motivate yourself. Because if you don't see the importance of what you do, nobody can tell you how important it is. You need to see it yourself. And if you choose to be blind, okay, go be blind. And what can I tell you? I cannot open your eyes when you keep on closing them. You choose on closing your eyes. I'm sorry. So now, we need to understand, Bnot Tzlofchad were willing to do so. They were willing to stand up and put a fight. And that's why they were praised. It's very important to do everything with all your heart. With everything that you got. Whatever it is that you do, it doesn't make a difference what you do. That's why you should not multitask. Because whatever you do, give 100% at what you do at that moment. Because if you're going to do this and this, you cannot give 100% to both of them at the same time. Do one thing at a time. Don't tell me you're listening to me while you're on the phone, because you're not listening to me. Don't tell me that when I was young, I used to be the same thing. I used to do my homework with music. Today, I can't do it. When I'm writing something, I turn off everything. I don't want to hear music. I don't want to hear anything. I learned, and that's how you become better. You need to understand those things. So if everything is done from the heart with great belief, everything is being run in a different way. You cannot, and that in a way also would affect the whole organization. Will affect your business. You affect the how do you call it, the locker room, as they say, the atmosphere. That's exactly what it is. If you have poisonous people around you, right, who are selfish and so on and so forth, that's simply poison. You don't need those people like this in a team. You don't need people like this at your workplace. You don't need people like this in yeshiva. You better have a yeshiva of 10 people who are all motivated to learn. The yeshiva of 100 people, that you have 2 people that are not motivated to learn, because these 2 people are going to make everybody else not learning. Right? You need to have the same thing. When you have how do you call this? Entrepreneurs that do business. They're going about. You need to have this urge inside of you. You need to have as they say, the fire in your eyes. You're hungry for it. If you're not hungry for it, you're gonna run. I know somebody that had a multi-million-dollar business. They were just too fat, as they say. They had a lot of money. They simply ran this and I'm talking about a business that was worth between $80 to $100 million. They ran into it. They're about to close it now, because they don't have the fire anymore. They're not hungry to make that. When Chazal tells us din pruta kedin me'ah, you're as eager to make a penny as eager to make $100. If you are not hungry, you're not going to make it. You need to be hungry to do it. You need to want to learn. There's no such thing as hard. Hard is hard, okay, so it's hard. But I want to learn. I want to become better. I want to make... That's how you're going to end up learning and understanding. If you give up, you're lazy. And usually that comes from selfishness. You need to have a vision. And you're not able to accomplish the vision if you don't have the fire in the eyes. And needless to say, you cannot make others, encourage others to do so. Why are we so far from Geulah, from redemption? Because we don't really want it. We don't have the desire for it. If I'm going to ask you guys, what would you like more? And you don't have to answer, because I know some of you Bichlal will be, would not tell me the truth, so don't even bother. I'm going to ask you, what would you like more? Would you like to sit down, go to Thailand by the beach in Phuket and drink, drink cold beer all day long and chill out and make a lot of money and, be a high roller? Or you would like to Mashiach to come, to sit in Yerushalayim, to sit in Bet Medrash and to learn all day long? You don't answer me. Just answer yourself, and you see exactly where you're holding. And that's why we all suffer, because we can't make anybody else be persuaded. We can't persuade anybody in something that we ourselves don't believe or want ourselves. And that's the problem. That's the problem. And we need to change this. We need to change this. That fire that is going inside of you, that thrust that pushes you, that will of the power of will that you have, is the power of emunah. Because without emunah, you can't do any of these things. Am Israel in Israel is able to create like a startup nation, right? It's crazy. It's crazy because they're hungry. They want to succeed. It doesn't make a difference what is happening, right? There people have motivation to bring. I mean, what Israel did in terms of okay, forget about that. Let's talk about this war, about missile development. That was or things that they created. The whole world is astonished at what they did. And then, imagine if Israel had the budget of the United States. You know what weapons they had? They would conquer Mars. It's unbelievable. Just because nobody likes you, just because nobody would sell you weapons. Okay, so we're going to do what we could do, and we're going to do it better than anybody else. They're hungry for that. Right? And nothing would stop them. No war, no missiles. They don't care. And it's amazing. And I was there and I saw it. No, I'm not telling you stories. I saw it with my own eyes. People were looking to run out of Israel through Jordan, through Egypt. I'm not going to run from my own home. I mean, they're crazy. I'll stay here. No, it is what it is. It's unbelievable. Life of selfishness is terrible, Rabotai. It's really terrible. And we need to create this energy of love, of giving. And love with the love of emotion. We need to have a lot of emotion. And we need to put this into our life and to reintroduce it in our life. We need to start caring for one another. We need to help others, and yet on the same token, allow others to help us. This is how we're going to be protected. This is our iron dome. This is our shield that's going to protect us. This is what is going to help us to get through another day. This is what's going to bring us purpose in our lives. That's what's going to bring Mashiach to our world in our time soon. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.